Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bot Signal. My name is RJ Redden, and entrepreneurs hire me to set fire to marketing methods that no longer work for them because most can't get traction online to save their lives. So I create messaging that builds relationships and closes deals. So, welcome. I do that with Facebook Messenger, by the way, and so can you, and that's what this show is all about. I want to talk today about kind of a little hot topic here in the Bot Cave. This is something that people ask me about all the time, and I also produce an inordinate amount of announcements. A lot of announcements. Hey, there's a webinar coming. Sign up for this summit. Hey, my show's going on. That type of thing. Lots and lots of people want those for their bots, and absolutely, of course, we've got chatbots because we want to put more butts in the seats. We want to get more engagement on our shows. Hello, Lindsay. Hello, Tish. It's just lovely to see you both. So we want to get people in. We want to engage people. We want to talk to them. We want to take their questions live. We want to do all kinds of things with our audiences. And so these announcements, right? These announcements are the bread and butter. They're the must. But we've all gotten a chain of annoying announcements from a chatbot. We've all gotten that sort of syndrome that a lot of bots fall into, which is look at me. Look at me now. You haven't looked at me in the last 10 minutes. What's wrong with you? Look at me. We've all gotten that string that says, hey, I'm doing a show. Hey, I'm doing a show. Hey, I'm doing a show. Which is fine. I mean, in most cases, we've kind of signed up for that. Let's see. I mean, we've all, said at one time, yeah, I'd like to subscribe to lives or subscribe to webinars or whatever it is. Here's the deal, though. There are 3 things that you can put into a broadcast that will make it amazing, that will draw people to you, that will put some people in the seats. There are 3 elements to put in there. And, there are a lot of other things about announcements. Received comments about length, all different sorts of stuff with the mechanics. But I want to talk about today 3 elements that have a little more to do with what's behind those mechanics. So let us start. First thing that is really, really important to put in an announcement. It's even more important to put than the time that you're going on. It's even more important than running over the content really lightly. It's this, that your announcement it becomes amazing when you can relate to the reader a little bit. When you're focusing on what kind of experience those people have when they see your message and open it, if you're relating to their experience somehow, if you are talking from where they are coming from, then that is what makes an announcement something that grabs people's attention. They don't care yet what time you're going on. They don't care yet who you're having or what the type of webinar is or what, they don't have those elements in mind quite yet. And you know what? That's because that your people, your tribe, they're looking for something that's going to help them with a top of mind problem that they're having. And so if you can relate to them in those that first sentence, first 2 sentences possibly, that is what grabs people's attention and says this, and it just sends an inner signal. This might benefit me. I might like to watch this. This might have something valuable that I can take away. Get that first. Don't wait. One of the popular ways that I kind of start out when I'm looking at it from the user's perspective like that is I think about what are the questions that are on top of my this tribe. What are the common questions that they have? What are some common frustrations that they have? What is, if you think about what kind of topic you're bringing to the table today And it's usually an answer to a problem that your tribe has somehow, or the answer to a question that they have. RJ Peeps. Yep. Absolutely. That's absolutely right. So think about the problems and the questions that they're having. Sometimes I write the questions just directly in the announcement. You might have seen that today if you saw today's announcement that I wrote. I wrote something that I can't remember the exact wording of the question that I wrote, but I wrote a question that I think is on top of people's minds, that are entrepreneurs and that are in my tribe and, love cutting edge technology and love chatbots or are thinking about one. And I built the announcement around that question, because I want you to know what value or benefit you're going to get out of it today. I don't need 20 people at my show. I don't. What I need is for people to either relate to the question and pop on to watch the replay. That's fantastic. Or I need people to look at those questions and see, does that resonate with me? Because people will self-select in and out of your tribe all the time. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a really great thing. Listen, if I have people out there who have never been to a show, who get the show announcements, who read the show announcements, and continue to self-select into the community. And at some point, I will cover a question that they have, and they'll want to come to the show. So relating to that user right off the bat is super important for all of us. I am not doing a show because I love to stare at my face on the computer. I am not doing a show to hope everybody loves me. I'm doing a show to take a piece of valuable knowledge that I know, package it in a way that I think that people would understand, and put that out there so that you guys can get some value and some continued motivation in writing your chatbot. Chatbots are a commitment. They are, they're, as you know, not a set it and forget it experience. Lindsay, I love you too. Thank you. It's not a set it and forget it. This is a way to keep people engaged and keep them embracing what you have going on. So relate to that person however you can. Questions are great. What are their top of mind questions today? How does that relate to your topic? Write those down. Relate to them however you can. Or just, if you don't want to do the questions, that's fine. Think about a common thing that your people say to you. Think about a common word or a phrase or something that, a common frustration people have with, whatever your subject is. Think about that stuff and put that up front right away. Of course, now this isn't going in the official 3 things, but this is like, section subheading A, if you're that specific. Always personality in your chatbot. Listen, guys, I talk about this all the time. But what I want you to think about is that people are running full force, pell-mell through their lives. Most of us are, right? Especially if your crowd is an entrepreneurial crowd like mine is. We are just running through our lives, babies. We are crossing a finish line and starting another one 3 feet back. We never get out of the race. When someone opens up their phone and they see a notification and they push it and they read it, I want them to get a little bit of a laugh. I want them to get a little bit of joy out of doing that every time. That may not be the personality of your brand. That may not be your personality. But whatever you've decided that personality is, put it in there. Because that's, in the end, what people are attracted to. That is, in the end, what people start to know, like, and trust. Is that personality of that brand, or if it's your personality, that's wonderful too. You want to get them connected with that. You want to get them connected above and beyond a profile picture, above and beyond, some knowledge that was dropped somewhere at some time. You want to make a deeper connection with people through these chatbots. And here it is. It's possible to connect with people through your chatbot, even if they never answer you. Even if they never answer you, if you're covering things that are relevant to them, which we covered in the first topic there, if we're covering things that are relevant to them, they're still in there. They're still, engaging with your chatbot, even if they never click over to see a show. Ty King, hey, good to see you. Going to catch up on some comments here. Lindsay says, do you push these shows out to podcast format? I don't take these live streams and push them out to the podcast. Reason being is because I like to answer questions in the moment and grab what people are saying and doing and do all of that with it. That doesn't translate very well into a podcast, honestly. I've listened to those before, and for me, it disengages me when people are doing on their podcast just what I'm doing right now, is saying, oh, we've got a question from the audience or whatever. So I don't. There are other people that absolutely take their show recording and strip the audio out and push that into podcast format. It just depends. Just depends on what you like. I like to do short and sweet podcasts that really kind of get down to business and fire all the way through the content and move on. Just because I know that some people prefer that format and I want to have it there. So if that answers your question, do let me know. Your voice would be a perfect earworm for podcasts, though. I totally have a podcast on Anchor. It is called, wait for it, The Bot Signal. So you can absolutely find me over on Anchor, and you know what, on any podcasting app. You can find me on iTunes. You can find me everywhere. It's The Bot Signal. Would love to have you in there too. Okay, so we talked about, first and foremost, relate to your user. Please do not forget to do this. And then subpoint A, put some personality into that broadcast to make it amazing. I will use all kinds of stuff. I will use language. More RJ is always better. Oh, Stacey Spenceley, I love you. Put some personality in there. You can do this in many ways. You can do that, of course, through the language that you're using in your bot. For me, I'm a very laid back person. I'm not very, specific and grammatically correct and all of those types of things. That's not my personality at all. I'm more your creative type. And so for me, the kinds of language that I use, it's just exactly how I talk without all the ums and the uhs, which is fantastic. But I also put some other things in there. I want to put some other things in there to reflect a personality, or have somebody take a moment out of their busy day and relax a little bit with a laugh. I will put GIFs in there. GIFs are those little 3-second movies. Today, if you saw the show announcement for this day, you got one of Seth Meyers saying, I have an announcement, because this show is about announcements. So, little meta for you today, but I wanted to just throw some fun in there, lighten things up a little bit. Also used emojis, because I always use some emojis. Emojis make people smile. This is something that folks don't generally admit. They don't want to say, yes, emojis make me smile, but look at people who use them, and look at, I look at the engagement rates inside the bot just from using emojis. That stuff drives upward. Your engagement in your bot will drive upward. People are 19% more likely to click on a button that has an emoji on it. So for me, there's a whole philosophy behind using those that I won't get into at the moment because it's a whole lot of information. But this is something that really engages people, and it makes them smile. It makes them take a minute out of a busy day and smile. You want your announcements to do this. You want your announcements to be memorable. You want them to not always, always, always be about you and your show and whatever's going on next. So, Anyway, personality. It's not one of the main three, but I just wanted to cover that a little bit because it's a pretty big deal to me. It has been in the past for sure. Stacy Spenceley, well, the Stacys are saying that more RJ is better. Hey, I love you guys. You're making my day right now. Very good. So, what's the second thing? The second thing that will make a broadcast amazing, and again, a broadcast is something that you put out for any webinar, for any, anything you're promoting coming up, anything that says, hi, hey, I've got this thing over here. Do you want to come over here with me and do that thing? So, broadcast or something that's, I kind of refer to it as the bread and the butter of these, because it really is. I think that there are some people that I have met that think that all chatbots do is announce when you're going on next. That's how much people use the broadcast feature. So that is something to keep in mind. When you're doing this, though, one thing that you want to include always, and this goes for, I think, the majority of the broadcasts that I send, mine for sure, and clients as well. You want to include a choice. Just include a little choice. Don't just be, and I think my announcement, I think I was going a little fast and didn't include one today, but you want to have a choice for people. You want them to be able to choose to watch live, catch the replay. Sometimes you want to add in there, hey, maybe no more announcements about these Facebook Lives. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to opt out of those. That's totally okay. Sometimes you want to add on that third button. Maybe you're having a guest today and you want to include a link about them that's specifically about something that they're promoting into that third button so that people can just have that at their leisure, that they can, they can already have the button that they're going to want to push later on anyway. Sometimes you can't, you can do a lot of things to put on that third button that will allow people a little different path. So that, let me catch up on the comments. You guys are commenting a lot. 2 out of 2 Stacys agree. You guys are so funny. The 2 out of 2 of these Stacys, I love it when we have, and I will name it this, the Stacy, which is the 2 Stacys, that are secret Jedis. I love it when we have you guys on the show. Anyway, so the second thing that makes your broadcast amazing is a choice. And that is, I get the opportunity to explain this a lot. Choice makes your people feel seen and heard and cared about. Like, I care about your journey in my chatbot. I'm not just here to talk to myself and tell you how awesome chatbots are. I'm here to create some value for you. And so I try to make it so that the three buttons that you can put on the end of each announcement reflect something that my user wants to do next. I even try to put it in their language. What I try to do is when I'm writing the text on those buttons, I put myself in my user's shoes and I say to myself, I want to, and then whatever comes next is what I write on the button. I want to watch live. I want to catch the replay. I want to see what that, like we had Richard on here on Tuesday. He was talking about audiobooks and narrating those. I want to see what Richard has going on. Giving people different paths to take. Now, of course, at the end of any of those paths, you can go on and do many things. You can, I was just writing something for a client today. She was having somebody on her show, and that person is starting a big event coming here soon. And so we, put a time delay on there and said, hey, in 24, 48, 36 hours, it'll say, hey, if you want to join the event that this person has going on, here's the link. Just didn't want you to miss out on that. It's all about thinking about them. It's less about thinking about what you want to tell them and think more about thinking about what they want to know and how you're going to address the top of mind problems they're having today. Very good. Teresa says, I missed the audiobook one. Got to go back and catch that. Oh, you'll love it. Listen to it with headphones. Richard's amazing. Anyway, fantastic. So give your users a choice. Do this thing. It's the best. It's awesome. They will love it. They will feel loved. The other thing is this, and this is a major, major thing. And this is not something people generally think about when they're putting a lot of announcements out. But I'll tell you this. Your amazing announcement must have other content to balance that stuff out. This is not about necessarily the discrete announcement that you're putting out today. This is about the other announcements that you're sending throughout the week or throughout the month that engage your people in a conversation. Conversation is the way in a chatbot, people are always talking about, what's the ROI of that thing, which is, it took me a long time, but it stands for return on investment. What's the return on investment? Just seems like you're chatting the day away and I'm not, sure how that's going to make money. Here's how it happens. It's not about sending folks to a sales page. I mean, occasionally it is, and that's totally fine. But if your chatbot, if you measure your success in how many conversations did I start this week? If you measure your success there, and then you take those conversations and are able to get those to a meeting, some kind of a 30-minute one-on-one, or maybe it's a group session that you're having that you're answering everybody's questions, or maybe it's a totally different deal. It's taking that online contact in the chatbot. It's taking it from automatic to an actual human being that knows some answers to taking that conversation offline. When you do that, that's where the magic happens. That's where all these engagement strategies and all these things that we always talk about, that's where it really pays off. And so, have more things for your people to do besides just decide whether to go to your show or not today. Catch up on the comments. My brainstorm show yesterday with Lindsay talked about engaging non-robotic bots, a bot queen we know, and creating relationships. Just yesterday, I think we were channeling RJ. Well, perhaps you will. Perhaps you were. That's what it's about, right? It's about getting to know and connecting with people, and not just finding a new format to tell everybody, something's coming up next. So tell me in the comments, what are you thinking of these 3 elements? Do you think that there are more elements that you can have for an amazing broadcast? Give me your questions, give me your suggestions, give it all to me. I'm reading these as we go. I love it when you channel me too, Lindsay. I think that's wonderful. Let's talk about, are those the only things to include? There are a lot of mechanical things, such as, and I learned this one the hard way. I was always putting out my broadcast for my show, and I was always saying, hey, I'm going on in 15 minutes. Hey, I'm going on in 10 minutes. Someone very kindly said to me one time, you could include 1 p.m. CST, Central Standard Time. Because a lot of times, especially if you're putting out your announcement 15 minutes ahead of time, a lot of times people are maybe getting that way later on in the day. And so they'll know by looking at that, okay, this is going to be a replay. I hadn't really thought of that. I hadn't really thought of that circumstance, and so now I put that in my show announcements all the time. I put the actual time that I'm going on, and I put the time zone that I'm giving this to you from. I always do 1 p.m. CST. So, you may choose your own time zone, or you may choose to just go either Pacific or Eastern, because people tend to count backward or forward from there. Whatever you decide to do, just keep it consistent, and that will be a wonderful thing. Stacy says, can you summarize the 3 again for those of us with loud children? Loud, lovely, fantastically smart children. Yes, I can. So, first one is first element of crafting your amazing announcement: relate to the reader. Take a moment, get out of your shoes and get into theirs. And sometimes the folks that you serve are very, very similar to you, and I totally get that. The folks that I serve are very similar to me as well. But there is an element of stepping into their shoes and thinking about what's a top of mind worry for them. What's a top of mind question that they have? What's a problem that they're having today that you can, with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of value, what is something that you can solve for them today? Take the answer to that question and reflect it in your first sentence or 2. Just do that for me. A lot of times it's so simple just to start with a question. So number 1, relate to your reader. Do this first. Do this in the top lines. Don't ever do the thing that, and I used to do this a whole lot when I was just starting out. And hindsight's 20/20, right? But I used to go, hey, first name, I'm going on in just a few minutes to talk about, you know what? That works for a while. It does. But eventually people get tired of reading, I'm going on in a few minutes, when that wasn't a question that your user had. That wasn't something a problem that they were trying to solve. That's like being at a party and somebody walking up to you and saying, hey, I'm doing this, you want to come? Hey, I'm doing this, you want to come? It doesn't really, after a while you think to yourself, are you even vaguely interested in anything I want to talk about? And then usually, if you're me, you just sort of excuse yourself and get on out of that conversation. So don't be that person. Number 1, relate to them first. Number 1B or number 1A. Let's just start at the beginning of the alphabet, shall we? Number 1A is, let's have some personality in that bot. Let's have your brand's personality or your personality shining through in that thing. You know me, I use a lot of GIFs. I use a lot of different things to reflect a little bit of levity, because that's totally part of my brand, and I want everybody to know that. So yeah, a little bit of levity. A little bit of levity works, my friends. If you can pull that off, because everybody's got a busy day. And everybody, no matter who you are, right? You're probably hurtling through your life. It's just what we do. If you can get them to stop, open your message, and laugh a little bit, then that's a relationship building thing that people will remember. Number 2, give them a choice. Give them a choice. At the bottom of if you're in ManyChat, at the bottom of every broadcast, they'll let you put 3 buttons. And you can fill those 3 buttons with anything that you want. But don't just give them one choice. One choice it's restrictive. It doesn't necessarily, allow anything but this one kind of answer. If you do that a lot, then people will start feeling like they're being herded through a gate. You don't want your people to feel that way, especially in a chatbot. You've got such an opportunity to communicate with people and engage with them one-on-one. You don't want people to feel herded through a gate. So do give them a choice. Give them 3 if you possibly can. I usually do a watch live, I catch the replay, and if I have a guest, I will link to the guest in the 3rd button, or I'll do something else. Allow them to opt out of the lives. That's a popular one. Allow them to ask a question. That's another popular one. There's a lot going on there that you can do. And thirdly, and this doesn't have to do with the broadcast itself, my friends. This has to do with what else you're providing around that broadcast. If you are giving people a great experience in the broadcast. Back in the day, and this, I mean, it actually wasn't all that long ago, but it really feels like back in the day because internet time is magnified. It's like dog years. But back in the day, they used to say on your Facebook business page, and I don't follow this rule anymore, but it used to be, it needs to be 80%, recommending others and posting other people's content, and 20% yours. For me, if you can stack that statistic kind of high in the direction of providing them a great experience, helping people solve their problems, giving them bits of value. If you can do that for the 80% and keep your announcements at 20%, that's a great thing that you can do. Now, I realize that the 80-20 rule might not fit in some cases. Sometimes when people are doing a launch or they're doing a lot of broadcasts for some reason, you just can't keep up with that ratio. But you want to do more relationship building and context building than you do either the come here, which is the announcements, or buy this. You absolutely want to do more context building than you're doing most of the time. I hope that helped Stacey Spenceley. I hope that helped kind of build, those are the three elements that make your announcement amazing. A lot of other mechanical things that I could go into right now, but that's, if you don't have the heart and soul of it, then the mechanics don't matter as much. It's not like driving a car. Driving a car, the mechanics have to be in place before you're going anywhere. Chatbot building, these crafting and creating these messages that really speak to your audience and that do more than tell them where to go and where to click next. That is having the heart and soul and the structure there in place before you write the message. That is really, really important, because then you'll really go somewhere with that message. Don't just yell, come hither and listen. Don't do it. 'Cause here's what happens. The third or fourth or fifth time they get that message, they think, why should I? What's in it for me? Right now, chatbots are still in their baby stages and getting adoption and becoming popular and all that kind of stuff. It's wonderful. But the novelty is still there. That stage that we're in. Sweethearts, if you don't know what it's called, it's the honeymoon stage. We are in the honeymoon stage of chatbots. At some point, people will be exposed to enough of these, and they'll be, unfortunately, exposed to a lot of bad ones out there who just really only care about, getting you in the cash register. They'll be exposed to enough of these that they'll start to compare experiences they're having, and the less and less the open rate will drop on messages that are just about whoever, if it were me broadcasting, the open rate will drop on messages that are all about me. Hey, I'm over here. Hey, I'm doing this now. I've got something for sale. Fantastic. What's in it for me? People aren't asking that question as soon right now because we're still in the, what is this experience? Fantastic. It ain't going to stay that way forever. So figuring out now how to make your chatbot be an experience that people keep coming back and coming back for. That is a very valuable thing to have. You do want your stuff to stand out head and shoulders above everybody else. So make it about them, add personality, absolutely. Stacey says, baby stage, adopted babies, fostered babies, and abused babies. Those abusing the bot babies, don't be a baby bot abuser. All right. We'll expect that on a t-shirt. Stacey, if you can make that happen. Fabulous. So I've also done some experimentation with some of the announcements that I've been sending out on my own bot. You may have noticed in the last couple of weeks that instead of saying, hey, I'm going online, or hey, I'm having a show, doing the regular show announcement, I began to mix it up a little bit and ask people questions about what they're interested in. And then if people, in fact, are resonating with that topic, then sending them a message and saying, hey, I'm going online today. So not even really mentioning that there was a show in that opening, in that little opening, which is, let me tell you, it wasn't that great. I thought it was going to be awesome. I thought that I would put that out there and get people, okay, fantastic. You are interested in this. It did not work out that way. I think that actually confused more people, than it helped. And so yeah, I learned a lesson there. I love being able to experiment. I love that you're also patient with me as well. Let's see. Stacy says we need mandated reporters for paid users. They need to have them go through the boot camp. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, did an experiment, was doing an experiment over a couple of weeks and seeing if I got a little bit more response out of the posts, the announcement posts that just asked people a question first. I'm glad that I did that because I had been wondering about that for a long time. But I think that when I asked that question, one, it just, people typed an answer for me, which meant that they didn't go through the rest of the bot announcement or get to the show. So do be careful about those kind. I always say give them a reminder, give them a reason to be there, and give them a link. That's always important stuff. But you always want to, indicate that there's something going on in that before they hit a button. Otherwise people are going to, misunderstand, particularly if they get the message after the show or the webinar or whatever you're putting on after it's ended. So very good. Yeah, done some experiments. Real glad that I get to kind of, experiment every once in a while and see what people understand. Here's some of the little nuts and bolts that you may be interested in as well. One of them I mentioned before, put the time in the message. Don't say I'm going on in 15 minutes. Put the time that you're going on in the message. Another little nut and bolt is this, and you would think you wouldn't have to do this, but you totally have to do this to get people to click the button. You gotta say, click the button below to, whatever it is you want folks to do. I usually also include down arrows. It's just that little insurance that people get what to do next, because part of the cool thing about chatbots being in their infancy is that it's still a novelty. Like we were talking about before, people are still like, hey, what's this? This is cool. But the problem is they really don't know what to do yet. They don't know what the next step is unless you spell that out, tell them, let them know. And that's one of the things that I recommend as well. And this is kind of, extra nuts and bolts. Get the heart and soul of it right. Get those first three things right. And then these nuts and bolts matter a whole lot. But one of the nuts and bolts is absolutely tell them, click on the button below to be taken to the show. Or, anytime this goes for broadcast and regular stuff. When you have an open-ended question that you're asking people, which means that they get to type whatever they want is the answer to that question. They can type a paragraph if they want. Always, when you're doing those, indicate to people what the next steps are. So you ask them the open-ended question like, oh, how much time do you spend on, this particular subject in a week in your business or something like that. Some sort of open-ended question. Always type your answer below and hit send. Or don't forget to hit send. Something. Let them know that there's a step to take, because otherwise people will type their answer and then wait. They never do that in an actual person-to-person messenger conversation. They never do. They always type and hit send. They never have to be reminded. But for some reason, it's just different enough when people are talking to a chatbot that they will type an answer and then like the bot stops because it doesn't have any directions to go in. So that has happened to people in the past. So tell people where to go. Click the button below to be taken to my website where you can sign up for. Type, here's an open-ended question. Type your answer and hit send. Be really explicit. People they're not used to it yet. And when you fail to give them the instructions, a confused mind won't make a choice. My friend Jane Powers says a confused mind won't buy. A confused mind will fail to make another choice. People just go, I've got something better to do, and they move on. So, know that. Simple calls to action. Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't make it complicated. Our lives are so complicated, my darlings. They're so complicated, and we just, we can't hand our tribe complications. We can't say, now jump through this series of hoops, and that'll make me happy. Who cares? Who cares? It's not about making you happy. It's about making them happy. It's about making them feel seen and heard and cared about, and that making them think, you know what, I'm getting real value out of being here. Ty King says, what is the best way to integrate a bot into a website? A button on a homepage, a pop-up? Well, I'll tell you my favorite way to do that, Ty, is I don't pop up. I won't do it. God, I hate them so much. I don't want to be the kind of marketer that I hate. So what I'll do is I will either embed a box on my website, which you can do with ManyChat. It'll give you a little bit of code that you can embed. Those of you who are okay looking at code. Those of you who hate looking at code, skip this next minute, go get a drink, come on back. But for me, I don't do a pop-up. I'll do an embedded box. I'll do an embedded button. I'll do the website chat button in the lower right-hand corner. But I will not, there's this sentiment out there, which is if you interrupt people often enough, they'll listen to you. If you interrupt enough, and until this time, just such a large part of marketing has been interruption marketing. And I'll give you some examples from real life and not even inside a chatbot. Billboards interrupt the sky. Commercials interrupt whatever TV show you're viewing. Commercials now interrupt your YouTube videos. Oh, the world needed that, didn't it? It's interruption marketing. It's, I'm going to get in front of your face and I'm going to make it so you can't focus on anything else but me. And then I'm going to ask you to, go somewhere and buy something. Pop-up windows are an example of that interruption marketing. I'm getting away from all of that. I'm just getting away from it. It doesn't really serve anybody. It leads to fragmentation and distraction, which is something that entrepreneurs themselves suffer from. And yet we're told that we have to do that in our marketing. So, gosh, that was a long answer to a short question that included a rant. So, hope you loved that, Ty. You can use any of those things. I'll use things that are embedded onto the page. I won't use a pop-up. I won't use an overlay. I won't use anything that's going to interrupt your view or interrupt the experience that you're trying to have. Lindsay also hates pop-ups. So very good. It's all about, if you haven't caught on to this, you're not going to go wrong in chatbots if you think about creating an awesome user experience. You're not going to go wrong. You may occasionally say something wrong. You may occasionally include a wrong link somewhere. I've done that in my own chatbot in the past. I've done that before I got a checklist. I kind of made some of those mistakes every once in a while. You can make nuts and bolts mistakes, but if you keep the heart and soul of it, what am I creating for my first impression people? What kind of experience am I creating for people who have hired me already and who are wanting some engagement? What kind of, course creation? That's something near and dear to my heart right now, because I've developed a course and I have some people taking it and I want their experience to be great. What's going to help that? Chatbot. Because not only is it, okay, now I can see an example of what she's talking about, but it's something that keeps people engaged with the constant content that I'm putting out there. So that is, if you think about their experience first, you don't even have to include all the elements that I talked about here today. These are just the things that I do that I've found successful with both my bots and my clients' bots. Is you got to think about their experience. You got to think about them for a sec. And it's so hard sometimes, especially entrepreneurship babies. We're trying to be out there killing it all the time, aren't we? We're trying to get new folks, trying to support the folks that have already paid us, trying to, make sure that there's dinner on the table on Friday night. If you want to be that's a simplistic form of it, but, right down to the nitty gritty, that's what we're trying to do. It's really hard to step out of that and step into what's on my top of mind of my clients today. But you can do it. You can do this thing. And, I believe in you. Let's see. Slay all day is what, Lindsay says, and Stacy is raising her hand. Yeah, baby. I mean, we just chatted about this yesterday. And we hung out with Stacy's beautiful children as well. So that was a good time. We just talked about this, that it is, we are always looking to create opportunities for ourselves and our clients. Looking to engage the folks that have already paid us, looking to help people through that course that they signed up for. We are always looking for all of these opportunities. But a chatbot is a great place to step out of who we are and what we're trying to do and step into what our clients are trying to do. And how can we make that dead easy for all of them? Very good, darlings. Well, I do want to tell you about a little something coming up. It's on Tuesday of next week. I'm going to be doing a show. It won't be regular, like live on the Black Belt Bots page. What we're doing is, we're doing a little thing. A friend of mine and I are getting together. His name is Ari Tobe, and Ari is a documentary maker. And his story is fascinating. He was an Olympic athlete, a wrestler. You can totally tell by his ears. Watch on Tuesday. You'll see what I'm saying. Olympic athlete for Canada. He's a lawyer as well, just extremely educated human being. And in the past few years has made over 500 documentaries. And he is expanding into making documentaries for entrepreneurs and also creating a television a channel, much like Netflix type of thing for entrepreneurs, in order to get some of this content that we create syndicated and out there to a lot more human beings. If that's interesting to you, and I know that it is, do show up on Tuesday. I'll be sending some messages out through the bot. I will be sending some messages out through the email as well. I want to get everybody I can that is an entrepreneur to this thing, because I think that there exists an opportunity there that hasn't really existed before, that we can take advantage of to, gain more eyeballs, obviously, and gain some credibility. I don't know how many times I'm, popping by people's webinars and looking at different things that people are presenting. And there's that whole line of, as seen on Fox, Fox News is probably not the best choice, but like as seen on ABC or as seen on, whatever TV channel it is, that's there exists some opportunities there. There exists some credibility and some wonderful stuff. So do come see the show on Tuesday. We'll have Ari on. We'll talk all about these documentaries and this entrepreneur TV stuff that he wants to produce. It's going to be a wonderful time. So thank you for joining me, by the way, today. This was a show near and dear to my heart because I'm just doing a whole lot of these lately and I wanted to talk to you about this stuff. Thank you for coming today, and I love you. So keep botting it out there. Keep building those chatbots. Keep building them in a way that engages and surprises and delights people. And that's all I've got today. So, darlings, I will see you in a bot.